Discovery Channel. In case you confused it with Nowhere in Hollow Earth. When did we stop delighting in watching incredible actions in real time? When did slow-mo become our drug of choice? This ruins the momentum of what was a fast-paced scene. Relegating Kong mostly to an environment where everything is as big as he is, so it completely f***s our chance to awe at his relative size. We are about to find out that Kong led the pursuing creatures to this spot so that he can turn the tables on them and kill their asses. But that doesn't stop Kong from going full method acting with a worried reaction as his back is turned to his pursuers, making the insides of your creatures guacamole colored to avoid getting an R rating and without stopping to consider I don't have a single tortilla chip anywhere in sight. Is this movie saying that the centuries-old Kong has never had an infected tooth of some sort? Like, we wouldn't expect him to just yank this thing out and go about his day. Movie wants me to believe that this frog-like creature could make a sound that imitates a loud Kong roar and could be heard from great distances because in its world evolution works by the survival of the most likely to emphasize the themes of loneliness and solitudist.
We believed that we were Earth's most dominant species.
200 million insects per every person in existence have entered the chat. This unimportant minuscule text that combines the 3 sins of continuing your open titles 5 minutes into the movie, reading, and needing to carry binoculars to a movie if you actually want to see it.
Every day he searches for a family that he'll never find.
You just said that you've only mapped 5% of Hollow Earth. You also said there's a lot of stuff we could still be wrong about. Yet, with confidence, you say Kong will never find other Kongs?
What about Godzilla?
Godzilla's on the surface, Kong is below.
Combining news position, PowerPoint's position, and TED Talk's position into the rarely seen Power News TED's position, a true mutant miracle of modern movie information dumping. At the rate these monsters smash cities, the displacement of people to new homes must be causing all sorts of upheaval around the... Oh? No upheaval? Lex Luthor just comes in and rebuilds everything in a week? Also, I'm not entirely sure why these monsters keep smashing cities anyway. What's the end game? And don't they know by now that Godzilla is coming to wreck their shit if they try to do this? Before they are heavily redacted, these titles read things like Apex and subsidiaries. Once executive producers of Titan Cybernetics will transfer assets to Dan Lin, Roy Lee, and I don't think the Monsterverse is ready for the consequences of adding this kind of bullshit into canon. Adam Wingard's self-portrait. Guys, I realize we've known the name of this for over a year, but I still can't bring myself to say it. So this movie will forever and always be Godzilla Twitter Kong to me. Kong or any Hollow Earth predator not having returned to scavenge this kill yet.
And what about Godzilla?
Oh, he's still sleeping. Like a big angry baby.
But apparently, a big angry baby that stepped his legs gingerly over the Colosseum walls and curled up without damaging the exterior structure, because that sounds exactly like how a monster that is notoriously known for giving all about your buildings would do it. In both Kong Skull Island and Godzilla King of the Monsters, we were treated to the thrill of U.S. politicians threatening the funding of Monarch. Now that the world knows there's a whole new frontier right underneath their feet, how did all the world's governments decide, yes, we will allow Monarch to simply observe this new habitat, and we will not try to mine it for our own selfish gains whatsoever? There's no way Gia did all of this in the 30 seconds since she went under. I don't even care if she was under some sort of speed spell. Shading these 3 giant peaks in the middle would have been a 5-minute process itself, and would have involved sharpening the pencil at least a few times. Leaving your Monarch-branded Kong spy tablet in the vehicle with no security locks. This laugh is sponsored by Volkswagen. Seriously, I'm not done. Do you realize what an asshole you have to be to park out here on the grass for this show me the money shot? You had to drive across a clearly busy sidewalk to park in the grass and then angle it just so. I swear they might as well just put the MSRP on the screen at this point.
ID Light in the all-electric ID4. It's the little things. It's a VW.
For centuries, the Iwi tribe were the guardians of Skull Island.
I guess you could have considered them guardians, but against what? King Kong did most of the guarding, and the island was surrounded by a storm that prevented people from visiting it until modern-day satellite images found a narrow weakness in the storm's defense.
The Iwi were annihilated.
Ladies and gentlemen, the last 90 seconds of this movie.
Her culture's not displaced, she is her culture. She's the last living member of the Iwi tribe.
With only a single member of the tribe having survived.
We get it already! They have machines that can detect uncharted areas of the island miles away, but can't detect a huge f***ing monster until it's stomping up the camp. In case you confused it with mime, holy shit, that giant sun is going to kill us all!
Today's podcast is brought to you by...
Podcaster plays a central role in the plot because of their specialized knowledge and the fact that podcasters are the new computer nerds in 2020 movies cliche.
I knew what Godzilla was going to do before anybody at Monarch said...
Which is why I am here, Bernie.
Funny, I thought you were here because the movie needed an excuse to get its comic relief back.
Godzilla is on the move again.
Only he's not on the move again at all. He just woke up. Like, if you're gonna get me all excited about this, you don't need to show him waking up at the Coliseum. Just show him running somewhere already. The absolute bullshit that is these monitor readings. I sure am glad she's checking out how the little green dots are arranged with the resistors and capacitors and how the heat sinks are impacting the overflows. She's got a 1002-50T in the C11 and a criterion rating of 83 on both sides, so it must be go time. I have come to receive dental care. According to this display, Kong is already 87% sedated, but the fancy graphical sedative indicators have only started emptying. If you're going to go all out on this app development and GUI design for menial, unforeseen dental tasks, at least get it right. Holy Testicle Tuesday, Dan Stevens is literally playing Ace Ventura Pet Dentist, right down to the shirt choice, and I bet Jim Carrey didn't see a single cent from this movie, you thieves. Movie shows us the tooth extraction, but not the expedited R&D on designing and building a composite metal ape tooth that could be installed securely into the jaw of a giant ape, because movie knows that would have taken the government at least 5 years to pull off.
You go and become the weirdest vet in the world.
Yeah, it's basically me and Dr. Dolittle, except my animals are bigger.
He's a vet for Titans, which sounds completely made up for this very movie, because who the hell else is he treating? The only Titans who emerge from the surface are assholes trying to destroy cities. And there are no more Titans in Monarch captivity after the events of King of the Monsters. The point is, Trapper's job and existence in this movie raises more questions than it answers.
I thought finally someone has made him grow up.
Nope. Someone tried that back in college.
Can you imagine if everyone you ended up working with was a former lover of some sort? Well, Hollywood can.
King Ghidorah. First encounter with Godzilla.
Bernie is listing all the times the signal spikes have corresponded with a specific Titan event, but this notebook suggests that the first encounter anyone had with Godzilla was in 1973. And that's weird, since the same notebook acknowledges the time when the military tried to bomb Godzilla back in 1954. Also, something moon landing, because I guess no conspiracy notebook is complete without mentioning the fucking moon landing, even without any specific monster theories surrounding it. Also, Deepwater Horizon? Are we saying the real-life event was something that upset one of the Titans? Or is it maybe just the movie that caused the disruption?
Here, discovery of Skull Island.
For some reason, Bernie had to flip the page when talking about the discovery of Skull Island when it was on the side he was already on. Also, 1957? John Goodman was quite clear in Kong Skull Island that the area had never been discovered until that very moment, which was 1973. Even if the conspiracy nuts wanted to give credit to John C. Reilly's character in the Japanese pilot, it would have been 1944.
It's a distress call, a psychic energy SOS.
Oh.
You feel like going for a ride?
Thought you'd never ask.
That's because she shouldn't have. And the yada-yadaing of how you end up on this team is some of the slickest bullshit this movie shits out of its bull. As it will turn out, the mission needs Gia to tag along, but nobody knows that yet. And the mission is super dangerous, and Eileen lets her go anyway.
Look, this could be dangerous.
That's why I casually asked my college boyfriend to come and let my young daughter guilt trip me into joining. But you? Do you think just because of all the characters in the movie that you're the one with the most direct insight into the exact things we might be dealing with down there that I'm just going to let you waltz on board? Well, mister, you've got another thing coming.
Don't take Mikhail too personally. Aggression is his love language.
But don't worry, he'll be dead in 15 minutes, so none of his character traits actually do anything of consequence for the movie. I still don't know how sunlight comes down here to Hollow Earth. Maybe they mentioned it at one time, but that just goes to show even if the movie mentions something, do you really expect me to remember it for later? You're trusting me to remember that shit? Also, with the 80s synth pop vibe going on here, I'm halfway expecting Falcor to fly in at any minute, with the Rockbiter riding on top of him yelling, "Falcor, it's even more beautiful! Why are you sinking?"
How far to the outpost?
100 clicks.
Thinking I won't care about you using a non-American measuring system if you call it something badass like clicks. Well, it is badass, but I had to do the math just to translate that to about 62 miles, and I f***ing hate math and translating things.
They're a problem? No, they're totally harmless. Unless you get them riled up and then they pack about a lightning bolt worth of bioelectricity.
Chekhov's yellow bastard dino birds making an appearance for this little lesson is almost as convenient as Trapper having access to his own in-seat biomimicry controls.
Atmospheric radiation levels are dropping. He's absorbing it.
Okay, he's charging for something.
Damn it, movie. I just saw him sucking off the nuclear plant. You don't have to hold my hand with the clunky verbalization of the situation. I'd almost forgive you if it weren't for 30 seconds later.
Godzilla consumed a huge amount of radiation. He is clearly preparing for something.
When you do the same damn thing again. Why do you need to break away from the drones pointlessly attacking the giant monster if you were just going to expositionally fill in the stupider members of the audience 30 seconds later anyway? Is there any reason why these planes need to continue flying directly at Godzilla after firing missiles at him?
Here, Doc, there's a camera here. You reckon you can pull any footage off of that?
Considering we know this outpost was transmitting before this happened, and we've seen all sorts of people watching live video feeds from Hollow Earth, why wouldn't this footage have already been saved and studied up above before you came down? Oh, mystical glowy rocks that mean stuff and things. Pretty. Subterranean realm? Doesn't that literally mean under Earth? But isn't Hollow Earth under the Earth? And this is subsequently under Hollow Earth? This layer should be named the subterranean realm, or at least the subcavum realm, if you really want to get all Latiny. Also, if there's a level under Hollow Earth, is Hollow Earth really hollow? Wouldn't it just be another layer? Someone needs to form a naming committee stat. Kids. Using a child as a weapon non-metaphorically. Scene does not contain these two smashing barrels or riding in minecarts. The modern Kongzilla movies like to dress up all sciencey and shit, but at their naked core, they are now just all mystical powers, intuition, and fantasy porn. When Kong died in the original, it meant something. He didn't have super healing magical land powers. Stripping the real-world science from this universe strips away its ability for us to connect to it on a truly human level, and that is a tragedy.
All right, guys, that ridge she pointed out is about 2 miles straight ahead.
Don't you mean about 3 clicks? Pick a lane, Mikhail.
Only female mosquitoes drink blood.
He says in a place no human has ever been to with zero context as to what blood-borne diseases he might be subjecting himself to. Meanwhile, back in the Godzilla looks for another place to fuel up B-plot.
Titan 19. Extremely aggressive, territorial. Weaponizing her body of razor-sharp scales.
Good thing these Monarch computers are programmed with these video game-style choose-your-fighter expositions, otherwise how would I know who to root for?
Tiamat's Arctic lair sits in the direct path of electromagnetically charged solar winds, making it the largest stockpile of energy on Earth.
Kind of makes you wonder why Godzilla didn't just go here in the first place instead of attacking France and Spain for their nuclear energy.
If Godzilla takes down Tiamat, he'll supercharge.
Which sounds like Godzilla will be this unbeatable motherfucker, but he'll still need Kong and Mothra to help him out by the end.
Yeah.
This is the second time in the scene Eileen has basically answered Gia this way. Like, yeah, I know the Iwi language for Christ's sake. How do you not remember this? Movie becomes a full-fledged Disney film with this glowing dragonfly that shows Gia exactly where she needs to look to advance the plot.
It's like some kind of a irrigation system. I mean, this predates everything. Mesopotamians, the Lemurians.
How on Hollow Earth could you know when this was created and what it does or doesn't predate? Brightness like this in a darkened auditorium is like the filmmakers waging war on the audience's dilated pupils. This predator that can swim under the water undetected rises out of the water, giving itself away, and then waits 5 seconds for its prey to turn around before striking, just like they learned in Predator School. Movie basically says, hey, remember when King Kong was fighting that rad serpent that had the upper hand a minute ago? Yeah, you didn't need to see that fight. You knew he was going to win, so what's the point? From the time Tiamat appears to the time he's floating as chunks on the surface is 30 seconds. 30 seconds of a foggy underwater close-up, nothingness of a fight, and look, if you don't have the budget to make it fun to watch, just leave it out of the script, okay? Also, movie reminds us that we need to get a giant-sized take-home box for Kong later, using the logo for Super Bowl 19 as your cave decoration. Okay, are their thoughts malevolent or benevolent? Chip? Okay, you're just gonna walk away without explaining anything further? That's cool, that's cool.
Yeah, this is not working for me.
Wow, the Iwi guy backed up about 3 feet between shots after Bernie told him it wasn't working for him. So they mastered telepathy and teleportation. Amazing.
How are they communicating?
Telepathically.
So on a world with apes, there is a race of humans underground that speak telepathically to each other? This is the exact plot of 1970s Beneath the Planet of the Apes. And if this movie ends the same way that one does, I will give all the sins back. Here's all the Iwi leader needed to see. Gia running through the woods, Gia running through an open field, Gia looking up with childlike wonder, an Iwi woman cooking, a time-life group photo of the Iwi people, and a couple of shots of Eileen loving and hugging her. This is a great summary of Gia's life that contains absolutely no King Kongs or devastating hurricanes, and from these images, she's ready to say she's okay. Why does this whole place look like I'm about to fight Astel, natural born of the void?
So wait, they send out this SOS, and then what?
I'll send an SOS to the world. I'll send an SOS to the world. I hope that someone gets my. I hope that someone gets my. I hope that someone gets my message in a bottle, yeah. Convenient skeleton bridges. These torches are more than enough to light up this room, but they decide that using the glowing liquid is the best way to highlight this upcoming exposition dump. This is like reading something inside a laser tag arena. After the liquid fills the area, the torchbearers leave. Jesus, let the fire do this, please.
The war with the apes nearly destroyed Godzilla.
Why show us this amazing backstory when you can have someone read it off some wall hieroglyphics instead? That's what I always say.
But after a great battle, he imprisoned the apes in a fiery realm of Hollow Earth.
Okay, so the battle between Godzilla and the apes nearly killed him, but he had enough strength to imprison the apes in a subterranean realm? I mean, just how the f*** did he do that? Did he summon God's Merlin to help him with that job? And does Godzilla seem like the imprisoning type? Also, the image here is of Godzilla letting out a mighty roar while huge rocks fall from the sky down on the apes. Like, this answers the question of how Godzilla terraformed a whole section of Hollow Earth to build a prison.
Their false king remains obsessed with reaching the surface.
The beginning of the movie showed us Kong leading these demonic boars into a giant falling boulder trap, which we later see causes a sinkhole that opens into this subterranean realm where Kong finds his cousins. This is what I've been led to believe leads the evil ape king to take his giant ice lizard to the main part of Hollow Earth, where it destroys the Monarch outpost and kills all the people there. But how did the evil ape get up to Hollow Earth with his icy dinosaur? When Kong discovers the sinkhole, it's a giant chasm. How the f did Dr. Lizard Freeze get up here? And once they got to Hollow Earth and smashed it up, they just went back to the prison place? And if they're looking for portals, why can't they find them? Those portals can't only be in the hidden Iwi city, right?
The Iwi call him the Skar King.
If this guy isn't voiced by Jeremy Irons, I will be terribly disappointed. Having a badass villain counterpoint to Kong and waiting over an hour to actually introduce them. King Dong measuring contest. Okay, so Skar King wraps this spine weapon thing around Kong's neck as tight as it'll go. Kong is f***ed. But then a movie edit somehow allows Kong to break free of this noose and throw Skar King over his shoulder in one motion. We will never know exactly why this pain-dealing remote control crystal works, but damn it, the movie needs our villain to have an obedient ice titan. So control it, it shall.
Trapped within their subterranean realm, the Skar King harnessed a terrible power, the ancient titan, Shimo.
But how? Was Shimo already down there? Did he already have a magical titan controlling knife with him? Or was he already in control of it and he got imprisoned with the rest of the evil apes?
He's gearing up for World War III.
Can we come up with a more creative name for this particular giant war? Especially when World War III doesn't even make sense in the context of giant monsters fighting each other. Hell, you're Warner Brothers. You could call this Clash of the Titans or Wrath of the Titans or Remember the... Okay, well, not that, but you get what I mean.
The Iwi believe that at the end of the world, one of their own will return and awaken Mothra, defender of the Iwi and ancient ally of Godzilla.
Sounds like the Iwi got an advanced copy of the shooting script. Also, in a blink and you'll miss it, part of the credits from Godzilla King of the Monsters, there's an article about a giant egg that might be a second Mothra. Because, you know, Mothra died at the end of that movie. So apparently she laid that egg in China before dying, so good for her. Where I have a lot of issues with this revelation is this movie pretending like the other Mothra never existed. That this is the first time we're ever going to see Mothra, and nobody even once refers to it. Not even the movie's Monsterverse nerd Bernie. And I'm sorry, defender of the Iwi? Since when? We've been told that Mothra has a symbiotic relationship with Godzilla, who we were told in this movie was a protector of nature. We were also told that King Kong was a protector of humanity, which we saw in Kong Skull Island with these very Iwi. So if Mothra was a defender of the Iwi, wouldn't it make way more sense for her to have a symbiotic relationship with Kong?
They believe that their savior will be an Iwi from Skull Island.
What is so special about anyone from Skull Island? What makes Gia in any way special, aside from the fact that she was in the last movie? What the f does Mothra care if the person is from Skull Island or Hollow Earth or East Lansing, Michigan? Also, I imagine a scenario where the Iwi get wiped out by the Skar King and Mothra wakes up to find all her people dead. After 5 seconds of mourning, she says, well, I knew I could only respond to someone from Skull Island. What was I supposed to do? My wings were tied. After seeing all these traps that Kong has spread all over Hollow Earth, I'm beginning to think that he spent more time on that than looking for other apes like him. Also, I love that Kong is basically Kevin McAllister, Rambo, and the Ewoks all rolled into one and has set up all these traps around Hollow Earth, but it sure is convenient that they only get tripped when he's around to lead someone into them. There's no way this little bastard caught up to Kong and the others following him and knew that he needed to be up here to cut the rope on a booby trap that only Kong knew about. Movie Doodleflea reminds us every 20 minutes that Godzilla is in the movie and charging up for the final fight like some sort of Titan Tesla.
I just never thought that the thing I'd be giving up would...
Skip!
But somehow they're able to move the pyramid's positions, which disrupts the gravitational pull down here, and that's how they run their city.
If only there was someone around here who could communicate with the Iwi and ask them directly how all this works, instead of you making broad assumptions that sound like total bullshit. Okay, so lifting heavy stones is easier, but what does the gravity thing do for anything else? Oh man, if only there was something that Iwi people could have done with the gravity to make this task easier.
How did they find this place?
He must have sensed Gia.
Sure, they bonded on Skull Island and can speak sign language to each other, so it tracks that they now have a never-before-mentioned telepathic connection, too. Since the movie did its job and mentioned telepathy between the Iwi people, we can now use that to explain anything when we need it to happen. Riding bareback on your spike-backed demon ice iguana. You know he's powerful now because he's pink, like a Barbie. or a Barbzilla. Throw Jane Fonda in the mix and you've got a Barberzilla.
Trapper, he looks really hurt.
Thank you for giving Rebecca Hall another line, but I thought this was already established.
Project Powerhouse.
You can't be serious.
Oh, he's serious. There was a top secret project to provide Kong with a prototype mechanical arm he didn't really need that was basically finished but got shut down and then left down in Hollow Earth instead of bringing it back up top to put in a storage facility with Indy's Ark. And it's still operational, saints be praised!
It's stored in the armory at Outpost 1.
Luckily, Shimo didn't destroy the ship that will be required to transport this prototype when he crushed Outpost 1 earlier in the movie. Wow, you assholes really aren't going to show how this giant creature got up to Hollow Earth, are you? I would have removed all the sin if you showed me a Fitzcarraldo-like system of ropes and pulleys to get this behemoth to the surface.
Those injections should heal the frostbite up nicely.
So this thing you created as a punch enhancer can also provide convenient medical injections, and you somehow had 3 huge vials of medicine for frostbite lying around in a place where it's never cold. Also, I love how this movie said, Kong has frostbite, what can we do about that? I don't know. Well, let's use it as an excuse to give him a mechanical fist. What about the frostbite? We'll have injections for the frostbite. Don't you worry. Okay, but if you have injections for the frostbite, do we even need the mechanical fist? Hey, do you want to see Kong punch someone with a mechanical fist or not? I don't know. Will it protect him from the frostbite later? Charlie, this is a giant ape with a mechanical fist. I thought we already forgot about the frostbite. Anyway, yes, at least it'll protect his right hand if he holds it up in time. But the point is, Kong smash! What else you want? Also, not content to crib from Jurassic Park, Indiana Jones, Lord of the Rings, and Planet of the Apes, the movie decides to throw some Transformers Beast Wars into the mix just for fun.
Hey, what are you telling me?
It's very easy to solve this problem where Eileen doesn't see what Gia signed to Kong. Simply put her next to Gia when she does the signing. Then we wouldn't have to waste time with this "what did she say" bullshit.
Godzilla won't come down here unless Kong brings it.
Okay, the last time those two met up, it was almost the end of Kong.
I'm not going to pretend that I know how Titans communicate, but in the last movie, it seemed like the two basically understood that they needed to band together to fight Mechagodzilla. Godzilla's been powering up this whole time to fight Shimo if he comes to the surface, so I don't know why it's such a big ask for Kong to be like, hey man, you want to come down to Hollow Earth and smash this fool where there aren't any giant buildings and people and shit? I don't know how that's communicated, but you're talking about a movie where telepathy is possible, so I don't think it's a big ask.
But if Kong draws Godzilla down here, they can make their stand in Hollow Earth.
I shall state the motivations clearly and directly so that the audience knows what's happening like a normal human would. In case you confused it with the pyramids of Cairo, Indiana. With this yellow Transformer arm grabbing one of the pyramids, I'm getting strong, I'm directly below the enemy scrotum vibes. The pink Power Rangezilla will now jump into the Mediterranean Sea from Gibraltar because he had a yelling match with Kong, who is over 2,100 miles away in Cairo. Since sound travels at just over 700 miles per hour, it would have taken those roars about 3 hours to get to the other side of the Mediterranean Sea. And don't give me that, they didn't hear each other, they just felt each other's shit. The movie knew what it was implying. Having a badass teammate counterpoint to Godzilla and waiting over an hour and a half to actually introduce them.
Gravity, the pyramids and gravity. Yeah, I got it now.
You do? The 83 people who gave their lives so that Godzilla wouldn't have to dive a bit deeper. Godzilla has now made the 2,100-mile trip to Cairo in just over 3 minutes of movie time, clocking in at about 42,000 miles per hour. This is just slightly faster than the fastest animal recorded, the sailfish, who has achieved speeds of 68 miles per hour. He suplexed him off the pyramid! This is the shit I'm talking about when it comes to the new and improved Godzilla. This may be a more powerful beam than he's ever shot out of his mouth before, but it still requires accuracy, and I don't see how his original nuclear breath wasn't going to get the job done. All the soaking up of more power didn't give Godzilla more complex and varied attacks. It's more like getting your character a new skin or changing their hair color or something. Seeing Gia and Mothra here just warms my heart as they talk sense into Godzilla. If only they could have summoned Mothra before Kong came up here, then they wouldn't have needed that inconsequential fight at all.
With the chemical reaction, this liquid metal becomes an engineering mechanism, forcing the two electromagnetic pyramids together, causing an anti-gravity shockwave.
So wait, you figured out all that from them carrying the rocks earlier and from this non-verbal demonstration? Pretending that ice is strong enough to stop red goo chemical reaction liquid metal engineering mechanism electromagnetic pyramid forces.
Your carriage awaits!
I don't get it. Trapper flew off in the heave to get reinforcements, which is fine. That's exactly what he did. But all the Verticine do is provide a distraction so that they can then escape on the heave. Why the didn't they just do that in the first place? Setting up this glorious clash, but having the anti-gravity shockwave ruin our chance at seeing what would have happened.
Yes! She's
protecting the portals?
First off, that ape was clearly headed towards the heave, so I don't know where you're getting that. Second off, I thought the temporary anti-gravity was protecting the portals right now, but I'm having trouble figuring out all the bullshit, so maybe Mothra is confused too. Our 4 main combatants, and only our 4 main combatants, conveniently fall through the same portal at the same time. Because it's time to climax, baby! And this movie only has its own pleasure on its mind. As per usual, Jesus does nothing while the world turns into an absolute garbage fire. Trying to make out the geography of this fight through all the conveniently obscuring dust, shrapnel, and shattered glass that's getting tossed about. Say, what happened to Mothra during this fight? I realize she didn't fall into the portal like they did, but she can still go, right? All this action is just noise to me. How many characters are we going to see get thrown into buildings? Feels like we've been on a loop since the days of Transformers and Man of Steel when it comes to large-scale battles in cities. All of this looks amazing. Godzilla is nice and pissed off. Looks like a finishing move, but it is easily dodged, and we see this miss 3 more times. Seriously, what was the goddamn point of the superpowered Zilla? Have you ever gotten close enough to a cotton candy machine to stare into the thready abyss as the sugar gets ready to melt your brain with no nutritional benefit? Yeah, that's watching this scene. And the crowd goes wild! Oh wait, there's no crowd. The crowd is dead. This fucking asshole is gonna create a new hole in the ozone layer.
I'm so proud of you.
Look, I get it. She's a proud mom. I'd do the same thing. But 2 days from now, she's gonna realize that Gia didn't do jack shit. She just happened to be the only Iwi survivor from Skull Island. A fact that was uniquely positioned to matter in this movie, and nothing she had any control over.
This place could be your home.
Movie thinks that after pummeling us with monster action that we can downshift into caring about thematic character resolutions in the blink of an eye. I just saw a carbonite monkey shatter into a million pieces. I'm gonna need a second before I can give a f*** about what person is what other person's home. Has Godzilla really made this tight, cramped coliseum his goddamn home? What a dick! Is he tired of the comfort of the open sea?
I don't even know what that is.
Nobody does.
Shut up, you freak!
You work out what's going on and I will get you anything that you want, okay?
I want peace on earth and goodwill toward men.
I'm turning into water!
He knew all about it. Let love clasp grief, man. Come here.
Brothers don't shake hands. Brothers gotta hug.
Nice.
I'm turning into water!
I'm melting! Melting! You made me bleed my own blood.
What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age!
out the big brain on bread.
That's worse than bad.
They look like big, good, strong hands, don't they?